Sorry, your mic's not working. Can you try leaving and coming back in again? No, that hasn't worked either. I think it's because you were on the call with me at the beginning while you were still connected to this. You've got to fully leave it somehow. No, that's still not working. Could it be that you're still like on the WhatsApp call, or it could have something else using your mic? You're coming back in really fast. Are you sure you're fully exiting? Go all the way back out. Go all the way back out because you're coming back in really quickly. Yeah, you need to get it to that screen where it asks you for permission to use your microphone again.
Is that better now?
Yeah, now that's working. Thanks.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Some technical hiccups there. Welcome, everyone. It's 23rd of March, 2022. I'm in Whangarei, New Zealand, and we are continuing our study of our beloved founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, the only Gita that has and continues to change the world individual by individual. So now we can dive more deeply in the ocean, fathomless ocean, and also take the opportunity to become better, different persons ourselves, spiritual persons, ultimately pure representatives of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya's Parampara. So let's start with the usual Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai, jai, jai. So it's important to know, be conscious of what we're saying and singing, and maybe you are conscious of the meaning of all the Mangalacharana verses. In any case, at least for my own benefit, every week I'm going to read one or two. Om Atmananda, Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam, the first two verses are translated as, I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? So by the mercy of Prabhupada, we can pray to all the acharyas as we are here praying to Srila Rupa Goswami, asking to have shelter on his lotus feet. That's the potential. That's the possibility, the opportunity we have, because we're connected with pure devotee in the cyclic succession. Srila Prabhupada. So today we're continuing in the introduction. Page 18 of this version. First line of the paragraph is in the Bhagavad Gita, worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. So find that place if we got the Bhagavad Gita there. Always handy to have a Gita with you. You can listen to my reading or you can read along, whatever helps you to be most conscious and present. We want to increase our consciousness, our presence, association with the divine transcendental sound, Divya Gyan, coming from the lotus lips of the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, our current direct link to the Parampara. So I'll read, just do a little reading, and we can have some discussion. In the Bhagavad Gita, worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. And I would request or suggest that as we go through, if there are any comments or questions or realizations or thoughts or doubts that come up during the reading and then during the discussion, put them up on chat. We don't have to discuss them right away, but whether you put them in the chat and whether you post them, send them up for everyone to see right away or not, that's up to you. But make a note so that we can have our applied Shravanam Kirtanam as we go through. Make it more personal, more connected, more meaningful, and more enlightening for ourselves and everyone else. It is stated in the 7th chapter, 20th verse, Bhagavad Gita, Kamaistaistair Hrityajnana Prapadyante Nyadevata Tam Tam Niyamam Ashtaya Prakritya Niyata Svaya. Quote, translation. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. End quote. Here it is plainly said that those who are directed by lust worship the demigods and not the Supreme Lord Krishna. When we mention the name Krishna, we do not refer to any sectarian name. Krishna means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. We are all hankering after pleasure. I'll repeat that. We are all hankering after pleasure. Ananda Maya So Vyasat. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. The living entities, like the Lord, you and me, like the Lord, are full of consciousness, and they are after happiness. We are after happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with him, and take part in his association, then they also become happy. I'll adjust that. If the Lord is perpetually happy, and if we, the living entities, associate with the Lord and we cooperate with him, we take part in his association, then we also become happy. The Lord descends, next paragraph, the Lord descends to this mortal world to show his pastimes in Vrindavan, which are full of happiness. When Lord Sri Krishna was in Vrindavan, his activities with his cowherd boyfriends, with his damsel friends, with the inhabitants of Vrindavan, excuse me, and with the cows were all full of happiness. The total population of Vrindavan knew nothing but Krishna. They were fully associating with the Lord, cooperating with him, and taking part in his association. Therefore, they were fully happy. They knew nothing but Krishna, and therefore they were fully happy. But Lord Krishna even discouraged his father Nanda Maharaj from worshipping the demigod Indra, because he wanted to establish the fact that people need not worship any demigod. They need only worship the Supreme Lord, because their ultimate goal is to return to his abode. Repeat that. They need only worship the Supreme Lord, because their ultimate goal is to return to his abode. Our ultimate goal, everyone's ultimate goal, is to return to his abode, to go back home, back to Godhead. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangam Langayate Garim, Yatri Patamaham Vande, Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man can cross over mountains, and a dumb man can compose eloquent poetry. So Prabhupada starts the purport, this paragraph of the purport, mentioning that the worship of different demigods or rendering service to them is not approved. And he goes on to explain why that happens by quoting the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter being knowledge of the Absolute. So how does this relate to us? Are we demigod worshippers? Do we see demigod worshippers around us in our society? Maybe amongst some Indian or Hindu families, yes. Otherwise, it's complete. The very idea, even accepting that there are demigods, there are leaders, prime ministers of each planet, and they're particularly the higher planets. Lord Shiva's abode, Lord Indra's abode, Lord Brahma's abode. So many demigods and goddesses who are called demigods because demi means half. They're half or part gods. They are empowered by Krishna because they have surrendered to a certain extent, and simultaneously have that tendency and that desire, as Prabhupada mentioned, as Krishna mentions here, according to their own natures, they're also they're serving and engaging in associations, devotional service, according to their nature. Even to accept that they exist or understand that such beings exist, what to speak of worship or honor. Now, yes, many of us will have more understanding of that, and we certainly don't want to disrespect the demigods. This is not saying to disrespect them, but not that we don't need to worship them or render service to them. In some ways, we're obliged to the demigods. They're providing the atmosphere, the rain, the sun, the earth that provides our food. Yes, we're obliged. And when we perform sacrifice, Yajna Vishnu, sacrifice for Vishnu, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, especially in the way that Lord Chaitanya came and taught us to do that, then the demigods are satisfied. And they benedict us with all material facility, which when we use it for Krishna, obviously it becomes spiritual facility. But the demigods are masters of controlling and directing the material energy. So we don't need to worship or serve them, because they're satisfied being parts of Krishna and devotees of Krishna. They're satisfied when we serve the whole. If one wants to nourish a tree, we water the root. If one wants to nourish, if you want to nourish your body, you feed the stomach. Don't feed the hand. You don't try to eat through the ear. You put it according to the established system, the nature, the natural path to the stomach, through the mouth, down to the stomach. And the stomach, from there, everything is distributed. So in the same way, we respect and honor and appreciate the demigods, but we're not obliged to them. And we certainly don't need to worship or serve them. In fact, sometimes Prabhupada says that demigod worship is condemned because people are motivated for reasons other than becoming Krishna conscious, than becoming purified, achieving, rediscovering, uncovering our real identities, as opposed to this foreign, aging, dying, suffering, diseased, and reborn bodies. So if the driver of the car thinks, "Oh, I'll take the petrol or the diesel and the oil and the antifreeze. Oh, that will make me happy." No, that's good for the car. And we want to maintain the car. We want to take care of the body. And if we eat healthily, then that will be so. But what about our spiritual food? The more we take our spiritual food, the more we'll understand how to maintain the body. We'll be satisfied taking care of the body just as much as it needs, not more, not less. And we can be peaceful. Yes, physical affects the mental and the spiritual, and the spiritual, mental affects the material, the external. Ultimately, what is subtle becomes gross, and vice versa. But we start from the spiritual. Therefore, we have the Vaidhi, even mechanical practice of bhakti yoga, until we become naturally, spontaneously attracted to serving and to Krishna and his service and his devotees and his pastimes. So the real nature that we want to uncover, that worshippers of demigods avoid, is the happiness. But let's focus a little bit, continue focusing, because Prabhupada gives this verse from Bhagavad Gita 7:20. Now, in this chapter 7, which is called Knowledge of the Absolute, the verse before this verse that Prabhupada is quoting is 7:20. The verse before that, 19, is Bahunam Janmanamante, which is a very important, prominent, famous verse. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Prabhupada establishes the real activity of the conditioned soul. And this verse that Prabhupada is quoting here in the purport, in the introduction here, today's verse, those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So they're not acting according to the real nature, the real constitutional position, the natural, real activity of the real self. They're doing something very different. Prabhupada says in the purport, those who are freed from all material contaminants, he's referring to the previous verse, those who are freed from all material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in his devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. So until we are completely clean, our automatic default setting is to act like non-devotees, to worship demigods or whatever we're doing that's not centered on Krishna. But even those, and this is what I especially marked, very encouraging, but even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature. Because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from material lust. So this is very, very valuable, I find. And I'm going to go on a spiritual circle here now, because, all right, I was saying, all right, I was asking in the beginning, do you do demigod worship? Do you have Lord Shiva or Lakshmi Devi or Ganesh or Indra or Brahma on your altar? Probably not. But so why is Prabhupada talking about this? Why is he talking about demigod worship? Most people in the West wouldn't even relate with it. So we can relate. We have some understanding and we've been hearing from Prabhupada about the cultural aspects and demigod worship. So the symptom of one who worships a demigod is that his or her mind is distorted by material desires. So who can say amongst us that our desires, our minds, are not distorted by material desires? We have material desires. Prabhupada says in one of the previous paragraphs in this introduction that we should be clear that we are in the conditioned stage of life. It's a fact. We can pretend we're not, and of course those who are completely liberated, that's all right. Maybe they're not. But even the most advanced pure devotee thinks he's or she is completely in Maya. Prabhupada says, we should know that at this point, our consciousness is contaminated. When we are materially contaminated, we are called conditioned. False consciousness is exhibited under the impression that I am a product of material nature. We should know, Prabhupada says, that at this point our consciousness is contaminated. So to acknowledge and accept that requires some humility. It's easy to pretend, oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I'm liberated. And some devotees think and even say that. In one sense, we're connected, and the goal is certain if we continue chanting properly without offense. Now that's a big if. If we continue, don't give up, don't minimize, and do it without offense or avoiding offenses until we come to the offenseless stage, then we're content. If we're honest, we're contaminated. We have some material desires. Our minds are distorted by material desires. It's a distortion. Material desires they cause distortion. They cause deviation, distraction from the reality, from Krishna and our natural, spontaneous, eternal constitutional activity of serving him, and especially serving the devotees of his devotees. So that's a distortion. So that honesty requires some humility, and that generally is very rare. It's easier to say I'm liberated, and the impersonalists and the sahajiyas, they think like that and may say that. It doesn't mean they're liberated. If I think, oh, I'm a spirit soul, it doesn't make me liberated. It's helpful, it's necessary to think like that. And Prabhupada says, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, servant of Krishna. It's basic, but it's not enough. We have to live that way. We have to act according to the instructions of the spiritual master. Chanting 16 rounds, if we're initiated or we're committed. Chanting 16 rounds, or whatever number we've committed to, following regular principles. The more we allow ourselves to engage in sense gratification or give in to our material desires, the more we move away from Krishna. So we don't want to be negative about it, but we need to be honest and humble about our own position, to honestly admit about where I am right now, and not be distracted by where I should be. I'm here now. Yes, I know what the goal is, and I'm committed, and I'm going to continue to be committed and practice the best I can, according to my present level, Krishna consciousness. So that honest humility coming out of faith in the pure devotee spiritual master is required. A doshara, the faith, the attraction. Without attraction, without interest in something higher, real interest, genuine commitment, then there's no question of humble, honest acknowledgement, recognition, and admitting. And that can be done, that admittance. Srila Rupa Goswami gives us the formula how to do that in the 2 of the 6 symptoms of exchange of love between devotees. Revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially, submissively. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya Uparikshanti te jnanam jnanastatvadarsana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire submissively from him and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. The pure devotees, following in Lord Chaitanya's line, are very kind. They very much want to help us. And they're eagerly awaiting the humble, honest admittance that we're fallen, conditioned, and we need help. Unfortunately, because of our conditioning, that is rarely seen. Why? Because it's very hard in material life to admit that I need help. It's the opposite of the materialistic mentality. I don't need help. I know exactly what to do. I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. I know exactly what to do, and I'm very good at it. Or at least I make a show of being good at it. That attitude is mundane. That is the attitude we want to throw in the bin or out the window or over the cliff. Kick it out. Bhagavatam kicks out all cheating religions. So to pretend that I am spiritual, I'm religious, that is Maya, that's illusion. So we want to be very careful to be aware of how much we're doing that, if we are, and secondly, who, even maybe in our own association, is doing that. That requires discernment, making distinctions, healthy discrimination. Now, we may not think that we have the ability to discriminate like that. Therefore, that's another reason we want to take shelter. We want to get help from those who we feel comfortable with, with those who we trust, those who are doing it themselves and inspiring us by their example, and they're encouraging us. They're kind, they're friendly, they're available. They're not up on some high pulpit, in some ivory tower. No, they're available. They mix with us, so to speak, like equals maybe. Obviously, etiquette is there. We want to be respectful to seniors, whether it's in age or in maturity or realization or potency. Still, just because someone dresses in a certain way or is of a certain age or has been chanting Hare Krishna 40, 50, whatever years, doesn't automatically mean that we take their association. We always be respectful, but not necessarily take their association. So admitting that our minds are distorted, then we can give up, we can get the mercy that Prabhupada is talking about in this purport to those whose minds are distorted by material desires, by lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is free from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, or is a pure devotee and has no desire for material sense gratification, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. So it's not going to help us if we pretend that we don't have material desires. In fact, Bhagavatam is saying it doesn't matter if you have material desire. Yes, we want to acknowledge that and we want to give it up, but we're not condemned because we have material desires, lust, anger, greed. We don't want to condemn ourselves because we have those things. If we admit it, it may feel discouraging, but we should take that discouragement or that guilt, which is healthy, natural, to say, all right, so now let's I've admitted it. It's real. I'm going to get on with it. I'm not going to hang around in lamentation or in self torture with low self esteem, and not get on with the real business. By what I'm saying, it doesn't matter whether you're free from all material desires, or you're full of material desires, or desire liberation from material contamination, or you're a pure devotee and have no desire for material things. Any of those, especially for us, many of us, we're full of material desires, or affected, distorted, but at least to some extent, with material desires. Just in all cases, surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. So worship of the demigods is a complete deviation from that. People don't admit that they need help. They want to get something for themselves. They want to take help for enjoying without God, without Krishna, to have the kingdom of God without God. Demigods will facilitate that. And then Maya will kick you in the face. You get to learn by heart in the school of hard knocks. And it's not a very nice way to learn. Most of us may do that until we wake up and realize that hearing from the bona fide authority based on Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra is the best way to learn. And we can be free and easy like that. That's a pretty high level. And maybe some of you have achieved that. Most of us still learn, at least to some degree, in the school of hard knocks. Oh, I suffer. Why did I do that again? I know I shouldn't. I pushed the snooze button so long, I wanted to get up at 4, 4:30, 5, 6, whatever it is. Why did I do that? I know when I actually get up and follow the program. Even if I haven't done it for 10 years, 20 years, whatever, or 3 months. Why did I do that? Angry. Self, beat myself up. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said you can beat your mind with shoes in the morning and sweep it with a broom. Seriously. He doesn't say beat yourself up with the shoes. He said beat your mind. Not yourself. Don't beat yourself. It's not recommended. So Bhagavatam is saying, it's okay if you're full of material desires. Get over it or get on with it. Don't deny it. Don't dwell in it. Neither deny it or pretend or run away from it or live in it. Admitting material desires and looking at where we're really at does not mean wallowing in self-pity or in discouragement. No, it means the opposite. It means acknowledging it and then getting on with the mercy that's available by worshiping, engaging in devotional service. So when we admit that, then it becomes much easier. Pretending, repressing, denying. Bhagavad Gita says happiness and distress are like winter and summer seasons. Matras pashastu kaunteya. They come and go, and they arise from sense perception, Arjuna. One should learn to tolerate them. We tolerate, we don't deny, suppress, without being disturbed. Because if we suppress, if we deny, if we pretend, They're still there under the surface, and they continue to disturb. It can't be avoided because material desires distort the mind. It's like having a lot of clutter around. You may not even see it or think about it because you got it all shoved back in a closet or the back room locked away and no one will see it. It's there and it distorts. It has that effect. We cannot avoid it. We can pretend it's not there, but the distortion goes on. The mind is distorted by those desires, by that lust. And that lust comes out in different ways. By contemplating the object of the senses, one develops attachment for them. And when from attachment, what arises? Lust. And what comes from lust? Anger. Then anger develops. Prabhupada explains that when there's a lot of anger, that's a symptom of lust. Sex desire. So we don't want to be negative about it, but if we're not honest about it, there's a difference between being honest and negative or discouraged or self-flagellation, beating oneself up, putting oneself down. Oh, I've got so many material desires. Oh, I can't do that. I can't. A Christian will never accept me. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. All this mundane conditioning, which often is there from our childhood. So our subtle body is conditioned, but it's got so-called a covering of negativity, a cloak of negativity, and that is sitting there. And every time we try to do something or think about doing something, oh, but what if, what might happen? What could happen? What will people think about me? Or what about all my failure? Blah, 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 blah. So we can refer to wise sayings like what Henry Ford said. Obstacles are the frightening things we see when we take our eyes off the goal, devotional service to Krishna. So then we can, the goal is to become happy. And Prabhupada goes into that in this paragraph. Krishna means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. We're all hankering after pleasure. Fact. Declared boldly, we're all hankering after pleasure. It's natural. Krishna is Anandamaya Vyasat. We are also Anandamaya Vyasat because we're parts of Krishna. We have the same tendency. We are pleasure seeking. Fact. Nothing wrong with wanting to be happy, to be liberated, to be relieved from suffering. Nothing wrong with it. It's natural. To deny that I want to be happy is denying our very own spiritual selves. So how can we become self-realized if we're saying, no, I can't, or it's not good, or happiness, or pleasure, joy? We may think, oh, these are all to be avoided. They're all bad. They're Maya. I shouldn't desire to be happy for myself. All right, ultimately, no. But where I'm at right now, at least if I admit that I'm pleasure seeking and I want to be happy, I want to be free, I want to be liberated, that is conducive. That can be conducive to our spiritual life because it's real, it's reality. Denying reality, fighting reality, rejecting reality is a losing battle. So if we're fighting against ourselves, against our own real nature by denying that I deserve to be happy, I deserve to be liberated, I deserve relief, because that's my very nature, being part of Krishna, who is of the same nature, then I'm sabotaging myself. I'm blocking my own progress. In one sense, I'm my own enemy. Who has it said? We have met the enemy, and it is us. It is within. So if we don't understand these points that Prabhupada is presenting very clearly here in the Bhagavad Gita, in the very introduction of Bhagavad Gita, then we're killing ourselves. And we're just like a dog chasing its tail, going around in a vicious cycle. Oh, yes, I accept Bhagavad Gita. I'm a spirit soul, and I shouldn't be happy. I'm a spirit soul. What is the nature of the spirit soul? To be happy. Okay, so then, yes, we distinguish between material happiness and spiritual happiness. But we don't need to get hung up there either, because Krishna, we just read from Bhagavatam. It's okay to be full of material desires. Just get on with the real work. Stop hanging around in this vicious cycle of beating yourself up and holding on to all the excuses, and get on with devotional service. That's why we have Varnashram. In some of the talks with Prabhupada, like with Hari Suri Prabhu and Prabhupada and Satsvarup Maharaj, discussing Varnashram, the point was brought up, well, is Varnashram for us, for the devotees? And some of the devotees were saying, well, we just chant Hare Krishna, that's transcendental. And Prabhupada said, well, who will actually chant? Yes, chanting will be there, must always be there. But who is able or is actually chanting properly now? Therefore, we have the structure of society. According to our psychophysical nature, a term Prabhupada uses here in the Bhagavad Gita, we learn how to serve Krishna according to that psychophysical nature. Am I scholarly? Am I academic? Am I more of a leader or executive, manager? Am I more of a businessman? Make money, trade, banking? Am I a farmer? What is my nature? What do I love doing? What am I good at doing? And develop that in service to Krishna. Daivi Varnashram. So we get on with understanding where we're at in devotional service and applying from there. What is the best way I can serve Prabhupada, the Sankirtan mission? Is it best for me to give money? Is it best for me to speak about Krishna? Is it best for me to act in cooperation in a particular way? Leading kirtan, cooking, taking care of the children, establishing a school for Krishna, according to Varnashram principles that Prabhupada has given us in the Western context. Not necessarily a pure thing. Prabhupada gives specific instructions. And we need to have shiksha. We need someone who can guide us here and now. It's not essential because it's all there in Prabhupada's books, but shiksha, is just as important and maybe more important than diksha. In fact, diksha is the one who gives most shiksha normally becomes the diksha guru. But we don't need to make distinction between diksha and shiksha, because ultimately it's about how we can improve our service to Krishna. As Prabhupada says, the Lord is perpetually happy. And if the living entities, if we associate with the Lord, so how do we associate? By chanting, by serving, by taking prasadam, by cooperating with him. Find out how to please him according to how we can please Prabhupada. If Prabhupada is happy, Krishna is happy. We had such an amazing festival up here in Whangarei at our public Gaur Purnim program this past Sunday. It was just extraordinary. Like the old days. Not that we need to go back to the old days, because Prabhupada is here now and we can have them now. And that's what happened. Ecstatic chanting and dancing. Wonderful Abhishek. We had Lord Chaitanya in his Murti form, 12 feet high or something, right there. He was our deity, along with little Gaur Nitai, who we bathed, and Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's picture forms, Prabhupada present in his pictures, and we were talking from Chaitanya Charitamrita, trying to repeat and share and inspire and attract people by hearing Prabhupada's teachings and discussing it. We had some interesting and thought-provoking questions, and more ecstatic kirtan. And then one of the most ecstatic feasts, Tulsi and Buddhi and Kavi and the other helpers cooked subji, 2 subjis, and we had lots of fruit salad. We had puris, we had scones, which Muchakunda made. We had a wonderful cheesecake that Kavi Priya made. Rakshana made the puris. And we had charnamrita. And we had a wonderful gingery tea. And we had Buddhi made some small gulabs. It's supposed normally you can put gulab in your mouth all at once. They were pretty big, and they were soft, and they were juicy, and they were So everything, wonderful kirtan, abhishek, discussion based on Prabhupada's teachings, a wonderful feast. Chanting, dancing, and feasting. A lot of dancing going on. You might have seen some of the videos. Ecstatic. So we're coming to the end, and you may have questions or comments. So please share at least let us know you're there. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, with your name, or where you are, what you think about what I've been saying. Questions, comments, appreciations, doubts, realizations. At least Hare Krishna. Please put your name or just a Hari Bol, something. And especially if you have questions or realizations, please share them. I've said quite a bit, and hopefully there's something has stirred your intelligence and provided some food for thought, and maybe something that is even apparently questionable. Like it's okay to have material desires. Whoa, what a radical, strange thing to say. Bev, thank you, Bev. She says, so happy to hear that the program went well in Whangarai. You guys are wonderful examples and preaching so nicely. All glories to the Whangarai devotees. Proud of you all. Thank you for spreading Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much, Bev. Your blessings and your appreciation are greatly encouraging and inspiring. I hope you'll come and join us sometimes. We're having every 5 days a week now, Monday through Friday, we're having our Mangalarti at 5:30 a.m. And if you like, join us even online, because you're not here physically. Some of the devotees are coming in person who are here locally, and some more and more joining us online. So if you'd like to join that, or just even if you don't have your video on, or don't say anything, you can follow along. We have condensed morning program, Guruvastaka, Samsara prayers, and then Namaste prayers and condensed Tulsi prayers. Then we have short Bhagavatam exchange, and then japa. Except for japa, we go maybe an hour, and then we start japa more or less 6:30, 6:45. And you can come for a short or long as you like. And Howard Lucas says, thank you, Prabhu. Howard, yes, thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. Thank you for your appreciation. I appreciate your appreciation. Any particular thoughts, Bev or Howard, about what I was saying, or questions, or anything? We have about 3 minutes left. So I'm interested in what you think, because you're both thoughtful, serious bhakti yoga practitioners. You may not think you're serious, but just the fact that you're here listening, that is devotional service. Listening about what Prabhupada is is calling us to do and to be. So, and maybe Bhaktivatsala is there. I don't know. Are you there, Bhaktivatsala? Or anyone else? Especially inspiring to have thoughts or questions, realizations. And your appreciation, Bev, says a lot of your realization about the value of enthusiasm and humble efforts to spread Prabhupada's and Lord Chaitanya's mission. And we're all dedicated to supporting each other and doing that wherever we are, whatever our station is. So give and take is very important. Prabhupada says that in the Nectar of Instruction, in the preface, I think he says that our society is based on this principle of give and take. So we want to appreciate, and at the same time we want to ask questions or express doubts, or because maybe I've said something that didn't seem bona fide. I'm not saying I have. It could be. Either way, whether it is or not, if you want to ask or say something about anything, or your own realizations about what I've said, or how it might be helpful for you, or not, or a question about how, because many times I say things and I expect people to understand what I'm saying, and often they don't. That's because of my unconsciousness or very limited ability to express and to clarify and to connect with you, who's ever listening. So it's a great help for me if you ask about something or you even express some uncertainty or doubt. That's completely fine. All right, if there's nothing else, if you're putting in a question or comment, we'll give it another minute or two. And of course, those who are listening to this after this live session, then you can also, I'll give you my email address, which is Panorama. Where are we? Can I add a chat myself? I think so. How do I do it? No, I don't want a private chat. I want a public chat. Okay. Just in case you want to be in touch or you have interest in joining us for our 5:30 a.m. weekday Mangalarti morning program, then you can contact me for that or any other reason. By email. I'll give you my phone number, but you can ask if you want that. Then you can ask me by email. Can you see that? It says I can share with other guests, but I don't see it. It's called a private chat. Must be about in LA. It must be what, about 3 o'clock over there? Howard? 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Okay, we'll finish up then. Thank you all again. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita as it is Ki Jai. Sadhu Sangha Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Oh. my email address is not visible. I sent it, but obviously it's, I don't know. I see your chats and I'll try to enter something there, but doesn't seem to give me the option to enter some chat myself. Let's see. Whoops. Nope. Strange. I'll ask Arjun about the option for that next time. 2 p.m. over there. Okay. Hare Krishna.